This week at the Net Cafe, adventure travel online. Want to go on safari in Africa? You can do it on the net at the Africa Quest website. Meet Anna Wyckoff. She edits the online versions of the Rough Guides, a good source for planning your real-world adventure trip. This is Carl.org. If you're into scuba diving or reef ecology, it's a must-see site. Linda Doucette is a National Park Service ranger and the web mistress for the National Park Service website. And if you're into sailing, you can follow the around-the-world solo yacht race on this site, aroundalone.com. Adventure travel online this week at the Net Cafe.
The Net Cafe is made possible in part by TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news, and by TVA, Television Associates, bridging the worlds of computers and video with DVD authoring and MPEG encoding services.
Hi, and welcome to the Net Cafe. You know, there is this perception that people who spend a lot of time on the net do nothing but sit at home, stare at computer screens, and click a mouse all day long. Not true. Lots of people are using the net to find interesting ways of getting out of the house and finding exotic, adventurous travel destinations. If you can't do that, well, the web is still a good place to vicariously enjoy the travel of others. There's a good example going on right now, around the world solo yacht race, which is taking place not only in the water, but also on the web. Jane has details.
Now, Susan, when I think about adventure travel, round-the-world yachting rates right up there on things I probably will never do. Number one, I get motion sickness, so I don't think being in a yacht would be the best thing. And then the other thing when I think about yachting is it's not exactly a spectator sport, but you and your team have proven me wrong on that one. You managed the Whitbread races last year and doing a phenomenal job with the website that really brought people in, and now you're doing the Around Alone race. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's interesting what you say, because what we're doing through the Around Alone race and what we're doing at Quokka is an idea of total sports immersion. And what we're doing is allowing you to actually experience this race in real time. And like you said, you may not want to be on a boat, but now you have a chance to experience what it's like to go through the Southern Ocean or
now
in the doldrums.
The Around Alone race is a pretty unique race to start with. And you've got one person, one boat, and they've got to make it around the world in, you know, a certain time frame.
That's correct.
How do you do all of this? What's involved? You must have an awful lot of satellite equipment. You've got to have these small boats are pretty packed. How does this all work?
Well, we do put a lot of equipment on board. So there's GPS systems, so you can see where the boats are, and you get position data every 6 hours that we have, so you can see where the boats are. There's camera equipment, so still photos, video.
Audio, you can do the whole
audio
thing.
That you can do, also email, and all of these different ways of communicating are all, if you will, digital assets that come to us that we put together to help the viewer really be able to see what it's like to sail around the world.
So I come into the Around Alone website. I've looked at news bulletins, basically. I can get positioning updates for all of the competitors. What are some of the other things that you're doing which really push the limits of the website itself and the whole idea of interactivity in the race?
Well, you'll certainly hear a lot of audio reports, and those are pretty compelling because here these guys are under fairly high stress, and you can really see what it's like for them day in and day out. We also, probably one of the most immersive things we do is our virtual race. And in essence, that allows, we've got about 5,500 people racing in real time against the real competitors.
Now, how does that work?
Essentially, they've come in and they've sort of picked a boat, and they start with the real boats, and they get positional updates every hour. They get weather, and they can plot their course.
So they could actually be ahead of some of the actual competitors.
Yep. Bragging rights are great.
So basically what you're talking about is you go into that site, you go into the virtual race area, and you could basically go in every day and sort of adjust course and check where you are.
Look at the weather, make decisions, make strategic decisions, see where your friends are.
So you have to know a little bit about racing to be able to do this.
It probably helps a little bit, but again, you can learn a little bit over time. I mean, it really start to understand it all.
You know, I think the thing that was really fascinating for me, not knowing about the race itself, and not really understanding what that experience could be, that one of the stories I thought was really amazing, the gentleman who had to have the operation, or basically operated on himself on the boat, and you've got video of it, you've got, you know, his own words. This is pretty incredible.
Well, he was there as a guy named Victor Yaznikoff, and he started to get an abscess and had to really act on it. And besides,
and he's far away from everybody.
He's far away. He was about 4 or 5 days out of port. Really, he started working with a doctor who was giving him sort of advice on how to do it, but then he was also telling a story.
And this is over email that
And
he's
this is
doing
over email, and once he got into port, we had video. But if you wanted to sort of know what was going through his head and what it was like, it was all there on the site that you could really experience and really get inside sort of this human drama.
Now, the one thing I noticed about the site, you've got a lot of rich media. You've got a lot of sound, you've got video, you've got lots of images. It's certainly not for the faint of heart. You do need to have a fairly quick connection and pick and choose what you do at the site, but it's an incredible place to go. It's www.aroundalone.com.
That's correct.
Great site. Thanks, Susan.
Thank you.
For URLs of today's featured websites, just go to the NetCafe site at cmptv.com. One of the most popular destinations for adventure travelers in this country is one of the many national parks, and one good way to plan your trip to a national park is to log on to the Park Service website at nps.gov. And Linda, you are one of the many web mistresses for the National Park Service, and you deal with Point Reyes Park, right?
That's correct, Point Reyes National Seashore.
And you're a real ranger, right? You got the outfit,
Yep.
the hat. So you're a real ranger, and you do sort of the web stuff on the side?
I do. It's a collateral duty. My main job is in interpretation, working visitor center desks, providing information to visitors.
So we might bump into you if we went to Point Reyes,
Exactly.
and you'd be my guide there?
Walk into any one of the 3 visitor centers, and I might be there.
First thing, I was astonished when I logged on to the website. I didn't realize there were hundreds of national parks. You tend to hear about, the 5 or 6 biggies that everybody talks about. There's, what, 375 or so parks out there?
There are about 375 parks, and each one of them has their own webpage.
So no matter which one, I could find out. Now, I can search for a particular park when I go to the basic homepage?
You can, and you can search by topic. You can search by theme. You can search
so
by
like,
state.
I want to go rafting, I want to go hiking. It'll tell me what park has that kind of activity?
Exactly.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And then you can visit the park webpage to find out more detailed information about that particular activity.
All right, now, so each of these different parks has their own web person like you who actually runs the site,
That's
and
right.
then you're all sort of interconnected together.
Correct.
And what are the kinds of information, if I wanted to go to Point Reyes, for example, and I went to your website, what would it tell me?
The website there tells you how to plan your activities, what you could do if you've only got an hour, if you've got 3 hours, a half day, or a full day. It tells you about camping and how to make arrangements for camping. It also will tell you about our hiking trails. It'll give you hiking maps if you want to take a look at the maps to find out what trails to go on. It will also tell you what trails are currently closed for one reason or another.
I saw a lot of text in a couple of the ones I looked at. Are there actually, I want to see the pictures, what's it look like there? What's the feel of the place? Do I want to go there?
As we start developing more and more web pages, we're getting more and more photographs of the different places and so forth. And some websites in the ParkNet service have a lot more graphics, and that really varies from
park to park. So you're kind of adding the pictures now. Now, what about the live thing, the webcam type idea?
Well, we're hoping at Point Reyes to one day have a webcam out at our lighthouse, which is about 23 miles from the main visitor center. It's about 10 miles off the coast of California,
That'd be cool.
where you never know what the weather is because it's always changing.
So you could check out live.
So you can find out. One of the most important phone calls we get every day out at the lighthouse is, what's the weather? Is it foggy?
Now, a lot of people get nervous because you hear you've got to make reservations months ahead of time for some of the more popular parks. Can you deal with those issues on the website also?
We haven't yet, but we are looking into dealing with it on the website, and we hope that one day in the very near future that we will start to make reservations on the website.
And what about the ones where you have to pay money? Can you find out how much it costs to go to the different parks?
Actually, yeah, we do have that information on every single website, that what their entrance fee is, if there is an entrance fee, and also about any camping fees they might have or any other costs it might entail.
All right, now let me ask you this. You're a ranger. You've been doing this for 10 years. You know the national park system reasonably well, I would guess. I really haven't done a lot of the national park stuff yet. If I was interested in a really good adventure trip to go to a national park, anything that you would recommend in particular?
I think one of the most interesting sites to visit for information is Harper's Ferry website.
Okay, where's Harper's Ferry?
Harper's Ferry is in West Virginia.
Okay.
And it's a really interesting website because they've done a lot to expand upon it and to give you a lot more information about what you can see and what you can do.
And what kind of park is it? What are the activities
It's a historical park.
Oh, okay.
And so you can learn about the history of particularly of the C&O Canal, but also of the Harper's Ferry area, which is rich in a lot of cultural history and so forth.
All right, now, as you said, I can go to the basic homepage and search for the kind of park I'm looking for, depending on the activity I'm interested in, or whether it's a family thing or a sort of a hiking thing on your own or whatever. And how do I do that? What do I enter there?
Well, depending on what you're specific interest is if you're interested in hiking.
Okay.
Type in the word hiking.
And it'll show me all the parks in which they're hiking trails and stuff like that. And what the weather is.
And what the weather is.
All right, nps.gov. Thank you very much, Linda.
You're welcome. Thank you.
For URLs of today's featured websites, just go to the NetCafe site at cmptv.com. One of the real benefits of traveling around the world is the educational experience that goes along with it. Unfortunately, not all of us have the time and money to go off to Africa or Asia and have one of these great educational experiences. The web is great, though, for sharing the educational value of travel with people around the world. One good example is called Africa Quest, and Jane has details.
Dan, you're from a company called Classroom Connect, so you do a lot of combining learning with the internet and interactivity. Now, you're the lead for an online adventure learning system, and you had a recent trip called Africa Quest. Tell me a little bit about the background of this.
Well, the idea was to bring kids and online adventurers of every sort on a journey through Africa, and not only let them follow the diaries of travelers, but actually engage them in a mystery, a real live mystery, and empower them to help make real discoveries, or at least add to the scientific process.
So there was a level of interactivity that was going on as you were on this trip.
That's right. Each week as my team traveled from northern Kenya to southern Tanzania along the Great Rift Valley, we had our online audience vote to help us decide where we go to gather clues. We're trying to solve two mysteries. Mysteries around human origins and why some of Africa's big animals like the lion and the elephant are disappearing at such an alarming rate. So we had a biologist and an archaeologist on board, and we were interacting with different experts along the way.
So give me an example. So if we're wondering about the evolution or the demise of a certain animal, how would you walk them through that process over that week or over the period?
There were 4 different factors that we explored. Geological changes, climatic changes, disease, and then human encroachment. So each week we sort of had a theme and we explored it from that angle with the animals. Now with human evolution, we took sort of major benchmarks when ancient hominids stood on 2 legs, when they developed agriculture, when they started using tools. And with each of these milestones, there was an attendant mystery that some expert posed that we would engage our online audience to help solve.
So what would be an example of a mystery? I mean, I think you mentioned earlier that in fact this actually was a learning experience not only for the students but also for the teachers themselves. So what exactly happened?
We stopped at a place called Oa Gazali in southern Kenya and found hundreds of axes, these stone axes that Homo erectus used. And the scientist studying that had no idea why they were aggregated in one area. He posed this question to our online audience. We harvested back thousands of responses, and 2 of those responses, this PhD scientist will be taking in the field with him next summer when he continues his studies.
So basically the feedback from the kids actually helped him frame his research.
Exactly, and that, as it turns out, is a huge motivation for kids. And then we create a curricular package around the experience that the teacher can use to teach math, social studies, art, language arts, all the stuff that we use textbooks to
So it's
learn.
really a holistic experience from the teacher's perspective, and the kids are actively engaged with you while you're on this trip.
Absolutely.
Now, give me a sense of perspective. How many kids did you have online participating with you as you were traveling?
We had 1.5 million kids in about 30,000 classrooms.
That's a lot of kids. Now, for me, can I participate with you as you were going through Africa? I'm not part of the classroom. I'm not part of the teacher group.
Absolutely. Only about 60% of our audience were kids. The other 40% were people at home. So you can follow the adventure just by coming to our website, or if you're a teacher, you can get the whole curriculum package.
So what's next? Where are you going to
go? Galapagos Quest in March.
So what's that going to be all about?
We'll be focusing on Charles Darwin's, what he called the mystery of mysteries, where species got their start.
So that's going to be March 1999. Looking forward to checking it out. Thanks so much, Dan.
Thanks for having me.
For URLs of today's featured websites, just go to the NetCafe site at cmptv.com. When a lot of travelers go to visit a destination, sometimes that mere fact changes the destination, and not always for the better. A good example of that is the world's coral reefs, a popular destination for scuba divers, and I know that's your big interest, Sean. You run coral.org. And what is the issue there? Why are reefs changing? Why are they endangered?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a lot of human effects.
So it is really the people that go there and don't leave it the way they found it?
It's not necessarily divers. In fact, our organization believes that divers are part of the solution, snorkelers as well. So what we believe is that with people who are interested, people who've actually gone diving or seen coral reefs underwater, that they have an interest in preserving it.
Appreciate the beauty and don't want it to go
right.
away. Well, what is the problem then? Why are they threatened?
Unfortunately, there are human effects like fishing. Fishing practices are poor, using dynamite or cyanide.
Oh, okay, so just blowing up an area?
Exactly. There are also things like overdevelopment in coastal areas where too much sewage gets dumped into the water.
Okay, so
and
it just
starts
changes
to change
the ecosystem for
That's
the
right,
coral
the chain of
reefs.
effect, and unfortunately the reefs can't withstand that. They've withstood hundreds of millions of years worth of environmental problems, but it's humans, unfortunately, that are causing a little bit of the...
What's your particular background, Sean? How did you get into all of this?
Well, interestingly enough, I wasn't even a diver before I started at Coral. I'm a nonprofit...
So you got into coral.org before ever having been a diver?
That's right, and I'm from Iowa, so...
Where are you going to dive?
Yeah, exactly. So I just stumbled across it, they stumbled across me, and since the last year and a half, I've been able to do some diving and going to see coral reefs and know the beauty and splendor that's underwater and want to protect those.
All right, now, so how do you use the website? If I were to go to the website and I was interested in this issue of preserving coral reefs, what would I find? How can I contribute?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a number of ways, actually. A lot of folks who come to us as members are interested when they're out traveling, how can they help support coral reef conservation? And they can do that through volunteering. We have a number of things.
Volunteering to do what?
They can go on trips where they're actually doing research like fish identification and reef mapping and things like that.
So this is what you said, divers being part of the solution, actually go in there and find out what the problems are?
That's right. It's a hobby of theirs. It's something that they love. They also want to provide, future generations that same opportunity. So you can go to our website and be a volunteer for Coral, our organization, or about 20 different organizations that we kind of serve as a volunteer clearinghouse for.
Now, how about on the other side of the coin, just on the positive side, if you will, if I'm a diver and I'm looking for some great ideas as to reefs to go dive around, can I find that on the site also?
Absolutely. We have members of ours who, once they go out diving, send us back diver reports. So if you're interested in going, whether it's Bonaire down in the Caribbean or
say, hey, I went to
Palau,
Bonaire in this place and it was fantastic.
Right, here are the reefs that I saw, here's the status. I think I'd like to let other people know about that as well, so you can go to our website and do that.
You also have this gallery also with these gorgeous, I mean, there's nothing like underwater pictures, right?
Exactly.
Where do they come from?
We actually use professional photographers who donate their work to us, but a lot of amateur photographers. So on our website, you can send us in your photographs when you're out in Fiji. We'll put it up on our site, and maybe you'll
just looking at those pictures would get you wanting to go diving.
Exactly.
Now, most people aren't scuba divers, so let's talk about them for a second. If I'm interested in where to get lessons, the whole story about the gear and what it costs and all that, can I find that through your website or through links on the website?
Through links on our website, definitely. We work with the diving industry, and we have a number of corporate sponsors that we try to support because they're doing good work as well. So if it's not on our website, we'll be happy to find it out for you, but there is some information there.
You feel you guys are making progress in coral.org? I mean, is something happening that's reversing some of this trend of destroying the reefs?
Absolutely. I get the good fortune of working with small community-based groups throughout the world in coral reef areas, hearing their stories, which are sometimes tragic, but also sometimes very hopeful, because of the support of our organization, and primarily the support of the divers and snorkelers, and anyone who's really interested in keeping coral reefs alive.
Yeah, and I think one message is, I mean, the divers do have to be responsible, right? There's that temptation to go, grab a chunk. And,
absolutely, and we know that is a problem in some areas, and we have actually a checklist of things that you can do as a diver so you don't cause any more harm than when you started diving.
Coral.org.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. For URLs of today's featured websites, just go to the NetCafe site at cmptv.com. Usually the first thing you do once you've decided to take a big adventurous trip somewhere is to run down to the bookstore and buy a guidebook. Well, lots of these guidebooks are now showing up online, and Jane is with the producer of the new online version of the Rough Guides.
For the adventure traveler, one of the most invaluable tools is that handbook, the guide that gives them all the information that they'd ever need. And Anna, you represent a company called Rough Guides, and you are managing the online Rough Guide experience. First of all, I'm not familiar with Rough Guides to start with. Where do you guys come from, and what are you guys? What's different about Rough Guides than, let's say, Lonely Planet or Let's Go?
Well, Rough Guides is a publishing company out of the UK, started by a couple of guys right out of college who felt that they were not happy with the information that they were getting in the guidebooks that were out there. So really the tone of the Rough Guide started as being focused more for the young independent traveler who
didn't have much of a budget, probably, right?
Right, who didn't have much of a budget and had a sense of humor and a sense of adventure. And that's really, I think, what the flavor of the Rough Guide editorial is about, along with, you know, the accurate, detailed information about historical background, cultural background, you know, sites, places to stay, places to eat.
Right. So you guys have been around for a while. Now you've got, what you've got here is we've got, what, 5 books, I think it is? And these are Rough Guide books, and now you've brought all of these books online at travel.roughguides.com. Tell me a little bit about what you've done at the website that's a little bit different than if I was to purchase the book today.
Well, one of the things that we feel with the website, it enables the user to be able to do a lot of research in advance for specific points of interest that they may want to do. They may want to plot out a trip that takes them from, say, the Eiffel Tower to, you know, some remote place in the Loire Valley.
Right.
And it really enables you to pick and choose information in a lot more seamless and direct way than it would be just to be going through and reading an entire guidebook.
Because you've already organized the book, and this way you can kind of search the way you want to. And I think it's important to note that the Rough Guides online site has everything that's in these books. I mean, you just don't have excerpts. You've put the whole enchilada in there.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the other travel guide sites do. They give you maybe 20% or even less of the content that's in the book. One of the things that we do is that we provide all of the information. If you pick up that England guidebook and you go to our website, you compare them, you'll find all of the information there. It's just displayed in an interactive way that allows you to access it in whatever way you'd like.
You've even got more things at the website, though. I mean, you've got the news magazine, the travel magazine. You've also got the ability to actually buy tickets online as well.
Right, with one of our partners. We've partnered with Internet Travel Network as a booking engine. So if you're, say, looking in San Francisco or in Paris, whatever destination you happen to be at, if you decide at that point you want to go ahead and book your tickets right then, all you have to do is click a button and it will take you to our booking engine.
So certainly for the traveler, this is great. I mean, I can get everything I ever wanted to know out of your book. Now I can get it online. Are you not concerned that people are going to not buy the book and just stay in the online environment?
Not at this point. I think that really people are using the web or the internet today to search for information in preparation, doing research, just gathering bits of information here and there. When they're ready to actually make their trek through England, they'll go out and they'll probably buy the print book at this point.
Just put it in their backpack. You're not going to carry your laptop around, I guess. Now, give me a sense of perspective again. We've got 5 books here. It's pretty heavy. How many more books do you have that need to get online?
By the end of '99, we're planning on putting up all of the 106 current Rough Guide titles that are out there right now.
So that's a lot of information.
It's a lot of information, yeah.
Now, what are the next steps? I mean, you look forward in the future. What are some of the new things that are going to be at the website, kind of pushing the envelope?
Well, I think in the future what we're really going to be focusing on is content distribution. Once we are able to fill the website with all of the content that we have with the Rough Guides, we want to be able to disseminate that information to whoever is interested in enhancing their other websites with it. So that's where we're going to be focusing in the coming months.
It's a great site. It's it's travel.roughguides.com. Thanks a lot, Anna.
Thanks.
For URLs of today's featured websites, just go to the NetCafe site at cmptv.com. We're going to wrap things up as usual with our resident internet expert, Larry Maggot, syndicated columnist for the LA Times and host of Larry'sWorld.com online. We're talking about travel, and we didn't really get into the whole reservations angle of travel online. Do you use the web to make travel reservations?
Absolutely. It's probably the biggest use I make of the web other than professional use. I mean, I use it I would never leave home without checking on the internet. Absolutely.
To actually buy the tickets online or just do research?
Certainly do the research. I always go to the major travel sites like Travelocity and IPN to check for low fares. I also get these newsletters from the major airlines like American and TWA, and they tell you about bargains for the weekend.
Are there real bargains online? I mean, there's the talk that you can get cheaper deals online than anywhere else.
If there are bargains to be had, you can find them online more easily. They're not necessarily additional bargains, but you're going to find them. You go in there and you can do comparison shopping. You're armed with a great deal of information, and unlike your travel agent, you have a real incentive to save your money, so you're going to spend the time and find the bargains.
Now, what about using your computer and using the web while you're traveling? I found that real valuable, too.
I mean, of course, I send email, keep in touch. When I read the local papers, when I'm on my way, or even when I'm going to a location.
But even doing research about your destination and then taking advantage of it once you're there.
If I know I've got dry cleaning to do, rather than pay hotel rates for dry cleaning, I will find out before I leave the nearest dry cleaner to my hotel. Usually it's around the corner.
Sure.
Save big
or even
bucks.
from your hotel room, right? You can find out where is the stuff you need.
They have these mapping programs. You can find restaurants. You can find anything. So I really think it's probably the best consumer use of the internet at this point is travel information.
All right. Thank you, Larry.
My pleasure.
And that's it for our visit this week at the Net Cafe. Hope we'll see you here next time.
The Net Cafe is made possible in part by TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news. And by TVA, Television Associates, bridging the worlds of computers and video with DVD authoring and MPEG encoding services.
To purchase a videotape copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-310-7850. Please specify the show number and the topic.
Just awful. And I just forgot it because it wasn't really bad. It was pretty strong, but it wasn't bad. Then about 3 days later in Charleston, I've been doing some job up on the mast and climbed up and down and loaded. I think I loaded pretty badly at the elbow and started to make trouble. But Dr. Andrew in chiropractic in Charleston helped to fix it. And he told me, Victor, be very careful. Sometimes I knocked it again a couple times. But the worst thing happened when the shroud didn't broke.